What's up, guys? Just got back from a walk with the dogs, and I was in here cleaning this Scepter you just saw on the thumbnail. And as I was walking out the door of the shop, I decided I should make a video about the Scepter. The bearing got cleaned up, feels really good. Let's get out the couple fidgets I brought with me on this walk with the dogs, as I about spilled dog treats everywhere. Oh, this is very crooked too. Very impromptu video. Poor setup. There we go. All right. And we're back. Got the pillar here. Borrowing some tungsten buttons from the chunky, the modified ones. These have been tumbled. I've got another set tumbling right now for a customer. Yeah, that's all I had with me, I guess. You know, it was a walk with the dogs. It's not like we were going out all day. Let's put those right there. Yeah? Yeah, right there. So, Scepter, number 42. I shipped them all in this little zipper pouch, and you can carry, you know, if this was another Scepter, 2 Scepters, you know, like that. I don't know, not many people have 2 Scepters, but that was the plan anyways. I'm a freak and put the bearing cap in a plastic bag because I like my bearings to stay perfect, and I didn't really know that at the time whenever some little zipper bits. I didn't know that at the time whenever I was making Scepters that I would be so crazy about bearings. Like, I've been making these things for 2.5 years, maybe a little longer now. I really don't remember anymore. I started making them when I started getting burnt out on tops. So, Scepters. Yeah. I don't know, I struggle to talk about my own work. So this one's number 42. It has a zirconium handle that has been mirror polished and then tumbled. This was tumbled at the same time. Let's take it apart real quick and I can talk about the pieces individually, because I make them in stages. So let's go from the beginning here. First operation I do is turn the bearing post of the handle. So this gives me my starting point, you know, like this is, in my brain, the beginning. So I make the bearing post, turn the diameter of this part right here so it's concentric with the bearing post. So I, you know, have a reference point and can keep everything concentric from that point onward. And then I leave it. This will be just a blank bar. Next step I do is fully make the spin cap. The bearing pocket gets made first. I do the whole outside shaping as much as I can, cut it off, flip it in the lathe, put it on a mandrel, which is where the bearing goes. The mandrel goes in there, expands, holds it tight. I keep it concentric, do all the milling patterns, do this finished bore on this end, and get the, maybe you can see down in there. Let me look at the screen up close here. Closest focus we can get. There we go. So you can see the little lip on the inside of the bore right before the bearing. That is so I can keep the tolerances really tight for the spin cap retainer. Let's get this hair off my finger. This is kind of cool looking through the screen doing this. I can show you guys exact details. So this is just another bearing post. Let's look at these two. It's just a button. One long button, one really short button. And then the spinner. So yeah, I make all of that in, I guess it's 2 operations, 2 maybe lathe orientations on the lathe. I'm not really sure what the exact words to use. And you can see how tightly this fits. See, it fits right there. That little lip that is above the bearing is also accounted for right here. So there's little steps going on all inside that kind of encapsulate it, so you can't, you know, even if this didn't have the ball on top, you couldn't see like any light in there, you know what I mean? Very, very tight tolerances. So yeah, then after I make the spin cap, this is actually the part I make last. Got sidetracked there. After I make the spin cap, I move on to the handle. So this handle has a crystallized ZrTi pommel. This zirconium handle has a male end, and I bore a hole in the crystallized ZrTi and press it in to the pommel, and then I'm holding Crystallized ZrTi in the lathe here, and I turn it all as one piece. This is held on a live center like this, so we're rotating, and that's how I make this thing. And I do the little dremeling, like grooved operations, 2 different ones on the rounds here, and some more small ones right there. Recently I started putting details in this part that gets hidden by the spin cap, and I did that because recently I started making these so you can attach the buttons that I make to a spinner. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that since we're on point with it. It's got to have matching threads. So I'll leave the threads on here purposefully because it gives it more, gives me more room with these. I don't have to make the threads as long in this part. So yeah, you can do this with all my Scepters now because I do the bearing post half and half instead of full length. And you can attach spinners to it. You can table spin, which you get what's happening. Yeah, I think it's a good iteration instead of having to be forced to use the handle and the spin cap retainer in conjunction whenever this used to be flat on the bottom and the handle used to have a full length post. Definitely I think it would be kind of silly not to make it work with other bits of my products, right? So yeah, turn all this together, and then once it's together, I'll go and move on to the spin cap retainer, because whenever I'm machining it, I can test fit against the bearing post up inside and make sure that when it's screwed all the way together, the spin cap still spins freely, because I can no longer see what I'm doing in there, so I'm relying on numbers and freedom of motion. Is that enough talking about it? I think that's enough talking about it. Of how I made it, I guess. Man, all over the place. I wish I was a little more focused for this video, but I guess that's what I get for doing it on a whim. So we've got a tungsten spin cap. It has a unshielded stainless OneDrop bearing in there, the 10 ball variety. Maybe some of you guys can see that. I tumbled the tungsten spin cap for, I think it was 40 hours after mirror polishing it. And then after that tumble, I flamed it to near black, but the tips up here and the grooves have just a twinge of oil slicking left going on. The finish between tungsten and zirconium, they match pretty close. I'm not even holding this in focus. I sat back down, so right there. About as high as I can get. All right. The finishes match pretty close. I'm happy with how they are. You know, I got this closer to black and I kept this closer to oil slick. The black still wouldn't have been quite as black. Something that was interesting that happened with the tumbling of the handle itself is almost too big to fit inside the tumbling drum, so it was inside the cylinder crooked, and I think it tumbled like this the whole time instead of rolling. So the center portions of the zirconium get a very light, like polished tumble, whereas the ends, you can see the zirconium is, am I in focus? I am. It's a little more matte because it was, you know, under higher abrasion the whole time. And I mean, I just really like how that gradient turned out, and I went for the same effect on the Crystallized ZrTi for the spin cap retainer. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to get rid of this one. It was a 3.5 day build, like 3.5 shop days, I suppose, between all the machine work and the finishing work. And I mean, I guess I've still even spent another 2 days on it, fiddling with bearings and doing some swaps and cleaning this one. Getting back in here and cleaning this one just now, just made it so much better. OneDrop bearings have a break-in period, and so I think that is what I was working through, and then cleaned out the debris from said break-in period, because now this thing is just cruising. It's so smooth, there's no rattle at all angles. It feels good. The vibration and the handle is just like a very soft, we're gonna get close to the camera here. This is such a quiet bearing, it might be tough for you guys to actually hear over the AC unit. I turned the tumbler off. One thing about Scepters the sound that you get coming from it while it's spinning changes depending on where you hold it and how tightly you're gripping it. So you get very different sounds and, I guess, resonation from the spinning. Definitely a cool feature that kind of was unintended, but every Scepter has that unique characteristic that, depending, where you grab it and how tight you grab it, you get different sensations. Is that what she said? TWSS? Probably. Concentricity on this one is awesome. Between the handles and the spin cap. I care about it most on the spin cap because that's, its intended use. But my desire is to also make every other piece concentric. And this one, I absolutely nailed it. I guess I'm giving myself a little bit of credit there. This was a great build. It really came out great. I am excited to hold on to it for the time that I will be. Gonna have to make another one to feed the group. I guess I'm done talking about the Scepter. Huh. I etched and electro-anodized the ZrTi. You can see the variation in color. This side got a little lower voltage for some reason, and this side a little higher voltage. Maybe it just got higher current flow and lower current flow because I had the voltage set the same. It's kind of the same effect on the bigger end. This side's a little cooler in color. Cooler. Lower voltage, and this side's a little higher voltage. Man. Still cruising. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you.